Good day, good afternoon, and good morning. My name is Aurélien Orange for the Coax Foundation. Today we have a match between two teams who are in the group C, so the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens in Greece and the University of Chile in Santiago de Chile. So it's a pleasure for me. My name is Aurélien Orange, and I will be hosting this match in the day 3. So this is the end of the group phase, and they received the topic a week ago, which is connected to corporate lobbying and the climate policies. So this topic has been prepared during a week, but before we move to the topic itself, I will ask every student to introduce himself or herself for the judge and for the audience. So I give the floor first to Miss Martina Bilbao Lopez. Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. In which year of studies you are?
I'm second year of my course in the law school of my country.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome. So we have as well in Greece Miss Stamataki, Pelagia Stamataki. Welcome.
Hi everyone, good morning in Chile. My name is Pelina Stamataki and I am a fourth year student in National and Kapodistrian University of Athens.
Welcome, thank you. We have as well in Chile Mr. Thomas Araya. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Thomas Araya, and this is my second year in the law school.
Thank you, welcome. We have as well Mr. Leonidas Tsaousis in Greece. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Leonidas Tsaousis. I'm a second year student at the University of Athens studying law, and I wish good luck to everyone.
Thank you, welcome. We have as well Mr. Diego Perez Parza. Welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Diego. I'm in my last year of college.
Thank you, welcome. And we have as well Miss Maria Berchetti. Welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria Berchetti. I'm a third year law student at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, and I'm wishing everyone a fruitful debate.
Thank you. So we send greetings as well to your coach on the side of the Greek team. We send greetings to Miss Glory Oyesemni. And on the side of the University of Chile, we send greetings as well to Mr. Andres Villar Hernandez, former participant, and as well Miss Oyesemni is former participant. And as well we send greetings to your student associations. So it means Elsa Athens in Greece and the Sociedad de Litigación in Santiago. So now the topic which was sent was corporate lobbying against climate policies should be legally classified as an anti-environmental practice. So now I will share my screen for the allocation of positions with the randomizer. So all of us will know which position each team will have. The team will be in favor. We'll be starting with the first introduction. So normally you should see my screen with the wheel, the double flags and logos of your institutions. One chance for each institution to be in favor and one chance to be against. So for this match, that will be the University of Chile will be against the motion, and as a consequence, the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens will be in favor, and we start with the first introduction. Concretely, it means that the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens will defend the position that corporate lobbying against climate policies should be legally classified as an anti-environmental practice, while the University of Chile will defend the position that corporate lobbying against climate policies should not be legally classified as an anti-environmental practice. So now you will have 5 minutes to review your notes, and then we'll start with the introduction from the Greek team. Here we are done with the 5 minutes of preparation. So I stop sharing my screen. I remind that when you see the yellow card, it means you still have, of course, 30 seconds to finish your speech. You can continue to speak, of course. And when you see the red card, it means it's the end of your speaking time. You may finish your sentence, but please don't start a new sentence, or the judge will penalize you. So now for the start of the match, I give the floor to the National and Capodistrian University of Athens. For your introduction, you have 4 minutes.
Okay, first of all, I want to confirm that you can hear me well.
Yes, you are audible and visible.
Okay, I'm starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges and dear opposing team, we stand before you today to support that corporate lobbying against climate policies must be legally classified as an anti-environmental practice. To begin with, let's become familiar with some of the fundamental terms of the debate. Corporate lobbying refers to business efforts to influence government decisions, often to weaken climate policies, which are regulations that are aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Anti-environmental practice is a practice that is aimed to harm the environment. We would like to base this debate upon a basic argument that corporate lobbying, which lies under the freedom of expression, can be restricted under certain circumstances. We are here to defend this motion revolving around 3 fundamental reasons. First of all, corporate lobbying delays climate action. Secondly, it prioritizes benefits over sustainability. And thirdly, corporate lobbying is not an absolute right. So, first of all, corporate lobbying has significantly delayed climate action, with industries like fossil fuels and automotive sectors weakening policies. The American Petroleum Institute, for instance, lobbied against stricter US fuel efficiency standards, stalling progress. While the OECD guidelines call for lobbying transparency, corporations still obstruct climate policies in secrecy. In contrast, international human rights law imposes binding state responsibilities for climate action. Article 8 of the ECHR and Article 17 of the ICCPR obligate states to protect individuals from environmental threats. Cases like the Klima Senioren and Daniel Billy versus Australia further reinforce this duty under hard law, linking climate action to fundamental rights. Our second argument underlines that corporate lobbying through the technique of greenwashing lacks accountability since it prioritizes short-term profits over sustainability. BP, Shell, ExxonMobil publicly support climate action, yet secretly lobbying against carbon pricing policies. The Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures encourages lobbying transparency, which corresponds to consumers' needs as well, but weak enforcement enables deception. ExxonMobil's denial climate case exposed how corporations misled policymakers, proving that unhacked lobbying distorts the political process and prevents critical regulations. Lastly, corporate lobbying is not an absolute right, since it has been legally limited in other contexts, proving similar restrictions for climate policies are justified. The US Foreign Corrupt Practices Act criminalizes lobbying bribery, demonstrating that corporate influence can be regulated. The European Union's Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive seeks to hold corporations accountable for environmental harm, while France's Corporate Duty of Vigilance Law of 2017 requires companies to prevent environmental damage and could be expanded to include lobbying. If lobbying can be restricted to prevent corruption, it can and should be limited when it harms climate action. To recapitulate, the legal classification of corporate lobbying as an anti-environmental practice would enforce accountability and deter harmful lobbying. From ExxonMobil's climate denial to the Volkswagen emissions scandal, corporate lobbying has actively undermined climate action. Since lobbying has been restricted in other areas, there is no reason why it should remain unhacked when it harms the environment. The law must evolve to protect our planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the introduction on the side of the University of Chile. You have 4 minutes as well.
Thank you so much. The reason we are debating today is because environmental protection and climate change mitigation are at stake. Clearly understanding that is a reality that cannot be denied is the first step to approaching an effective solution that generates greater well-being in well-being. Yeah, in this way, we will be able to understand the direction to the motion will take. Asking whether corporate lobbying against climate policies should be legally classified as an anti-environmental practice implies that the backdrop is necessarily the effective safeguarding of the environment. This, in principle, the implementation of the measure would seek to safeguard. Unfortunately, the measure is not enough to mitigate the eventual damage that may occur as a result of business activities. This because the problem itself doesn't pass through the hands of lobby, which force us to understand the scope of the term. Lobbying can be understood as activity that seeks to influence public or private decisions because of a particular interest. From this, a double nature can be deduced: negative and positive lobbying. To close oneself only to the negative scope is to misunderstand the complexity of the activity. Lobbying is necessarily an instance of participation of different agents, natural or legal person, and Chilean or Foreign companies, small associations, NGOs that necessarily have importance in the public world. Either because they offer job offers of because they take charge of policies that the state cannot supply. Lobbying per se does not imply a bribe. In this sense, returning to the measure of the motion, it is that classifying it as an anti-environmentalist practice doesn't have solved the root of the matter, but rather generates the opposite effect by removing important interest group from the discussion. This incentivizes them to adopt bad practice as alternatives to put their interest back into play, making it even more complex to distinguish the positive and negative nature of the action. The effectiveness of recognizing lobbying as a party public apologize management as effective in practice. Large developed countries such as the United States, with the Lobbying Disclosure Act in 1995 and subsequent regulation, the European Union with the EU Transparency Register, Canada's Lobbying Act 1989, and others. We sustain our line of argument by virtue of the fact that not legally classifying the corporate lobbying against climate policies is anti-environmentalist is a measure because it allows for transparency, knowing to influence political decisions, allow for greater citizens' control. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now we move to the first rebuttals. I give the floor to the National and Capodistrian University of Athens. You have 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the corporate interests are clear. 100 companies were responsible for 71 of the global emissions. We cannot support in any case that the majority of corporations, and the rule is that corporations care about the protection of the environment. It's clear that this is a matter of the government protecting the individuals that they have voted for, it. In my speech, I would like to build on that rebuttal by explaining why corporations' rights to expression and why that lobbying needs to be limited. According to Article 10 of the European Convention of Human Rights, a restriction that happens to the expression of an individual or a group must be necessary in a democratic society. In the current status quo, corporations infringe on the democratic principle by having an immense influence on power, which is generally very negative. New research by the Corporate Europe Observatory and Greenpeace reveals that since 2010, just 5 oil and gas corporations and their fossil fuel lobby groups have at least spent €250 million buying influence in the heart of European decision-making. When tech billionaires are sitting in the front row of Trump's inauguration, it is clear that we have an infringement on the principle one person, one vote. The current global trends make it clear that corporations do in fact want less environmental protections because they affect how they can conduct their businesses. Moreover, Article 10 of the European Convention of Human Rights mentions that freedom of expression can be restricted if it's necessary to protect society. Corporate lobbying against climate policies is not just a political stance, it is endangering the lives of millions. In the case of Balambala in France in 2015, the European Court ruled that the freedom of expression can be restricted when it threatens public safety. Given that the IPCC warns that climate disasters will only get worse unless we take action, it is crucial to intervene now and ban the lobbying without any controls, as happens in the status quo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we hear as well the first rebuttal on the side of the University of Chile. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Well, for the beginning, for our part, we argue that the right approach to take in order to address a real climate conflict is to allow the effective participation of such agents as corporations under a regulated transparency instance, openly inviting them to put their interests on a platform so that it is known what is to be negotiated. Any attempt of an excessive lobbying mechanism is mitigated since it's not necessary due to the platform that we incentivize. The negative sides of lobbying is not questioned, but rather the ineffectiveness of the measure in the face of an undeniable reality, lobbying. However, it's not bad. It allows for active participation. It's not the simple task of lobbying that makes them bad. And we can't, and nevertheless, we can expect the corporations who are economic, large and very important actors just sit around while the state just legislates to mitigate these practices. But these practices are completely normal in our system, and we have to create a system to make the corporations very active in politics decisions, because they are very important politics and economic actors in all our world. They sustain jobs and families all around the world, so we can't deny that fact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we move to the second rebuttals. I give the floor to the National Capodistrian University of Athens for the second rebuttal. You have 2 minutes.
In my rebuttal, I would like to clarify how difficult it is for those actors, individuals, and the NGOs in the current status quo to have power, given how immense economic profit, how immense economic value those companies have, and the extent that their lobbying has. In their first speech, they're telling us that that it's very important for the NGOs and the civil society to participate in public discourse. We totally agree with this. We think that by ensuring that the corporations cannot lobby against the environment and they can lobby for the environment, which is what we're supporting. The NGOs and all the individuals that want to protect the environment will have more of a voice. The motion is clear. The motion does not say that the corporations cannot lobby for better environmental practices. The motion says that we are banning and we are limiting the freedom of corporations to lobby against environmental practices. Therefore, we totally support that if corporations want to lobby for better practices, they can 100% do that. However, if they want to lobby against the policies, if they want to limit the protections of the environment that we have, then we have to intervene. And exactly that we're saying, right? So we also want the good lobbying that promotes the environment, but we want to ensure that the lobbying that goes against environmental protection is limited. And at the end of their speech, they're telling us that corporations have immense economic value, they protect jobs. And we think that even under the current status quo, corporations that do get their freedom to conduct business infringed by climate laws can go to their national and international courts for potential violations. The case of Vattenfall in Germany proves that unfair and unlawful limitations to conduct business from environmental laws can lead to governmental liabilities. And we believe that the protection through the courts is much better. Because it happens after the laws have taken place. It doesn't intervene in in dating and ensuring that those laws pass through the parliament, and it also ensures the protection that's necessary in democratic society. For those reasons, prop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to the team of the University of Chile for your second rebuttal. You have as well 2 minutes.
Okay, everyone. Firstly, about the responsibility system that our counterpart was talking about, it's important to say that yes, of course, it's a thing they could do in the international way, but nevertheless, our responsibility system will only protect the environmental laws or rights when they are already broken. So that system could not even cope to the environmental needs. And we can't even say that the corporations could be regulated in that way because they are major economic major economic actors. So they can't be regulated like that. So maybe a system where they can participate enough in this own system of creating these same laws about environmental will be better for them to be active actors about these legislations about environment, but don't without taking away all the importance of them in all our system of laws or economics and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we are reaching the conclusions, so I give the floor to the team from the National Compodistran University of Athens. For your conclusion, you have 2 minutes.
I still have the problem that I can't see myself. Can you see me?
Yes.
I mean, can you?
Yes, we can
Okay,
see you and hear you.
Okay, perfect. Because for me, it doesn't work. Perfect. So, I am starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges, to rule over today's motion, you have to answer the following question. Is the state entitled to limit the freedom of expression connected to the corporate lobbying in favor of the right to a safe environment? First of all, we have to see if this measure is necessary. The opposition team tells you that the problem doesn't pass through the hands of lobbying. However, Mariah in her first argument clearly explained to you how corporate lobbying has significantly delayed climate action. Moreover, Leonidas in his first rebuttal tells you that interests of the biggest corporations of the world, like the fuel corporations in America, are anti-environmental. Moreover, the biggest corporations in the world spend enormous amounts of resources in lobbying against environment. So, yes, it is a necessary measure. Secondly, is it proportional? They say that lobbying has a positive side, however, take into account that they haven't brought one single example to show how lobbying can be positive in the case of environment. Secondly, the opposition says that they want a system where transparency works a platform. Companies are never going to be incentivized to take part in this platform, while classifying their action is something mandatory. Also, about proportionality, Mariah in her third argument showed you that restricting corporate lobbying is legitimate when it causes serious harm, as it happens with corruption. If lobbying can be restricted to prevent corruption, it can and should be limited when it harms climate action. And take into account lastly that climate should be protected and is protected under human rights law, so it is a clear obligation of the state. And secondly, take into account that classifying as anti-climate serves a totally legitimate purpose because Mariah, in second argument, showed you that prioritizing short-term profits over sustainability shouldn't be allowed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we hear as well the conclusion on the side of the University of Chile. You have 2 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
And this debate is focused especially on the lobbying, and for our part, we are reframing of our positive positions. On the one hand, recognizing that is a practice which, if not regulated, can generate damage, but on the other hand, with good regulation, it generates significant benefits, and when it comes to protect the environment. And this debate, we have, it has a point of conflict. The following argument. First, the international human rights, particularly the international environmental principles, according to the agreement of subject, the member state must adopt necessary measures to mitigate the effect of climate change. These necessary measures are complex in natural, and it's complete with the principle of progressivity and no regression. In this sense, lobbying is a necessary measure. It allows public and private collaborations to adopt climate policies and meet environment goals. Moreover, we cannot ignore the fact that in companies we have responsibility to collaborate in order to achieve them. And second, right to lobbying have difficult at the same, for example, and comparative law, particularly in Europe and the United States. And this kind of law subject, lobbying is manifestation of fundamental rights and requirements, free speech, and the power of making suggestions of the authorities. In this sense, providence it requires a special justification beyond companies are illegal. So, in this sense, the state in previous state speech, lobbying can be beneficial measures if it's regular with effective measures. So, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We just heard the 2 conclusions, so from now you are not under evaluation by the judge. So you can rest, you can relax, and of course come back in the room, all of you. With camera open, because I will ask for your impression about the match, and after we'll do a bit of networking between the 2 teams. So I will start first asking Miss Stamataki, what did you think about the topic, the debate, and the performance of both teams?
I think that personally, I'm not a great fan of trade law, I have to say. So I never really studied at school with great passion, but at least with this topic that was somehow connected to the environment, it was a good incentive for me to look into something I never did before with an interesting perspective. And I think it was a really good and really interesting debate.
Thank you very much. Miss Martina Bilbao Lopez, what did you think about the match? I'm not sure she can hear me. I will ask her to a second. Yes. Please go ahead, Miss Bilbao.
Yes. Well, in this case, I think emotion is difficult position against, and well, we have some connection problems, and that it make more difficult. But wherever I got it, then.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tsaousis, what do you think about the match, the motion, and the performance of both teams?
I think it was very interesting. The topic was very topical. The power that corporations hold is something very relevant in the EU, in the US, with everything that's happening nowadays. So it was very interesting to delve into that. And the match was quite interesting, lots of great ideas, I think, by both sides.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Araya, what did you think about the match?
Thank you. Mhm. Sorry. First of all, congratulations to the Greek team for their excellent argument. Um, I think debate is complex because, in my opinion, the discussion isn't about denying whether loving can be bad or not, but about the effective effectiveness effectiveness, I think, uh, of the measure in addressing an environmental problem. So in that sense, it's difficult for me to draw a line in the debate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Berchetti, what do you think about the match?
Okay, first of all, starting with the opposing team, also I want to congratulate them because we had some very competent opponents. And secondly, for the topic, I have to say that it was literally my favorite topic so far because this is what I also work on. This is what I'm doing. I adore trade law, so it was the most interesting one for me so far. And I really hope if we continue to have such interesting topics as well.
Thank you very much. Mr. Peret Esparza, what did you think about the match?
Hello, I think it was a very interesting match. I think I don't know if it's destiny or bad luck, but we always get like the against charges, so it's always like a little bit more difficult because, well, at least for this topic, it's like yeah, corporations. All the other teams said like, for example, the law, the international law, it's soft or hard. It's all like it it was almost like we were against life itself. So it was yeah very difficult at least for our part. But I congratulate the boxing team because it was very clear to us that they were very prepared. They were pretty organized. So congratulations to them and to my team too. I think maybe we missed some preparation, but nevertheless we always show up. So yeah, thank you all.
Thank you very much. So of course, we'll be receiving the score sheets from the three judges during the next days, and we'll inform you about the result of this match as soon as possible, and the ranking as well for this group, the group C. So well done for this free match on 3 areas of law. And speaking about areas of law, you already answered a little bit what I'm going to ask you, but I will be a bit more specific in my question. So what is your preferred area of law where you would like to pursue a career, and what makes you like this area of law? So I will start with Miss Stamataki.
I prefer international and European law,
Mhm.
and more specifically human rights law.
Mhm.
So I hope to dedicate myself to that. I don't know if I can do it in Greece, to be honest, but also I'm learning Spanish, so I was thinking that maybe I can combine it to a Spanish-speaking country. Because
Yes,
I like it a lot.
you can go to Chile, for example. There are
Yes, and actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I realized that among all the pronunciations, I think the pronunciation from Chile might be my favorite one in Spanish.
Yes, I have been there, and you know what? I will say a funny thing. When I went to Santiago, everybody in the main street in Santiago and the main square as well, they were asking me if I was from Brazil. So and I don't speak a word of Portuguese, so I remember when I was in Chile that yes, it gave the impression that I was coming from Brazil myself. But for sure, I would encourage you to visit Chile. It's a very long country, and you will learn as well a lot about the practice and the legal professionals as well in Santiago, not only in Santiago. So now, same question on the side of Miss Bilbao Lopez. If you can hear me, what is your preferred area of law?
Well, I like the public make of the specifically the area of constitutional law.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it, and I think this is interesting. And that teachers are really good in the process, so I really like it.
Okay, constitutional law, public law. Okay, thank you very much. And then on the side of Mr. Tsausis.
Thank you. For me, the most what I would like to work in and study more is definitely in European law and human rights law. I think it's something very important to preserve our freedoms, our rights, and ensure that there is cooperation both within a country and between the different countries. So I think that is something wonderful that law can achieve.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Araya.
In the same way to Martina, I think that constitutional law, yeah, I think that is very interesting area. In our country, the last year was very difficult because there are many programs in the debate, many uh, I don't know how to say plebiscito, but
A democratic, I don't know, tournament or something like that, like a
yeah,
votation,
yes,
a democratic votation.
yeah,
Plebiscite,
like that, like that. So the history of Chilean constitutional law, I think that is very important if I can be a great lawyer someday.
Okay, yes, no, very good. Yeah. Yes, we heard about the debates in the constitutional debate in Chile from Europe. And as well, if you're interested in the topic, in Iceland, they wanted some years ago to rewrite their constitution, and they made it online. They asked the whole population to contribute to write online their possible constitution. But it was not a great, let's say, success at the end, because it became too complicated to ask everybody, even if it's a small country. But yes, you can observe this as well if you're interested in constitutional law. Now, my question as well to Miss Berchetti, you mentioned trade law, but specifically which part of trade law?
Okay, first of all, I want to say that I'm a bit divided because firstly, I want trade law and specifically corporate, and I can't say differently because I'm also here in work. And except for that, I also want international law, but mostly the branch of diplomacy, public international law. However, I have to admit that I would also follow the footsteps of Pelina because I'm also looking for a Spanish-speaking country. I think that both of us are a bit looking into it these past few years. So, yeah, it would be really nice.
Okay, so yes, so two students from Greece going to Chile next year, possibly. So yes, of course, that would be an opportunity. And of course, the Chamber of Commerce, they exist as well in order to do a bit of public law and a bit of international trade law. You have a branch in different countries for different companies, obviously. So, and as the ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce as well, the one in Paris for the whole Europe. So yes, and finally, I will ask the same question to Mr. Diego Pérez Esparza. Which is your favorite area of law?
My number one interest is penal law. I want to be a public defensor, in fact. But I also like environmental law. So yeah, this round was like a stab to the heart. And about coming to Chile, yeah, I recommend Chile. But don't think that if you know Spanish, you can understand Chilean. It's very Chilean, in a Chilean way. But yeah, the Chileans are very sweet, so I recommend visiting Chile. And Santiago is a very modern city compared to maybe other third world countries. So yeah.
Oh yes, so I've been in Santiago. I really liked. I've been as well in Valparaiso, Viña del Mar. So I was a
Do you
little.
like Valparaiso?
Well, I've heard so many times. So I've seen, of course, the house, a colorful house. I've been as well to a kind of elevator from the airport to the top of the city, and well, it was very rainy. That I remember, it was raining a lot. It was a long. I mean, it was in early July exactly. Well, it was okay. Yes, historically it was interesting, and as well, I was quite surprised to see for the tourists there are goodies about Easter Island, Isla de Pascua, a bit everywhere in the city, and Isla de Pascua is very far from Santiago, so that's why I was surprised to see that it is so present as well for the tourists who want to visit as well, and buy some goods to bring back. So I brought a little mohai to my family, and but indeed I would love to come back, even if it's far. And even if it was very cold in July, but yes, I really enjoy. So I advise everybody, and I advise you as well, to come to Europe and visit Greece, and visit Athens, and not only Athens, the islands, and the north. I've been in Thessaloniki in the north, as well in Athens. So yes, please do not hesitate, and enjoy to visit Greece, because yes, there's a lot about history as well in the country. So for this match, congratulations, you finished the group phase. You will have now to wait just the results of all the judges. As soon as, of course, we have them, we'll share with you. And as well, you can see what's happening in the other groups. We'll have a networking moment in mid-April with all the teams. We'll tell in advance, of course, about it. And we are thinking to have even some more activities, like maybe a CV workshop and career workshop for all of you who are interested in international law from the perspective of The Hague, I mean here. So we'll explain you how to get those jobs and internships. So it might be maybe interesting. Do you think it would be interesting? Yes, because we just discussed this morning, so in the Course Foundation. Okay, so we'll organize this, so you will see all the possibilities for you to apply for international jobs in general. It could be at the UN as well, etc. So many thanks. We keep in touch, of course, and wish you a great rest of the week. Thank you.